Our headliner coming to the stage really enforces the rule that any jeans can be skinny jeans if you gain enough weight. Give it up for Nik Wolinski. Hi. Hi. I am so excited to be back in St. Cloud. I love you. I love St. Cloud so much, and as much as I may have maligned it as a youth for being boring, which sometimes it can be, after living elsewhere for over 2 years now, I've come to really enjoy coming back here, and I've come to realize that this town is very much a part of me, and I think I am sort of a product of it. You know, I definitely represent St. Cloud when I go elsewhere. Sorry about that. I'm going to tell you some stories today, and all of them take place in St. Cloud. The first one begins in the distant mists of a lost era, the late 1990s. In an ancient buried relic of the past, the Walmart out behind where Burlington is now. They used to be a Walmart. I think it's like a car thing now. I used to love going to Walmart with my mom, mostly because she had 2 other kids to keep track of, and I was very stealthy. I know I don't look it now, but when I was 4 years old, all I needed was half an aisle of discount hair care products and I was gone. As soon as I broke line of sight with my mom, achieving what D&D nerds would call total cover, or is it full concealment? Full concealment. I would make my way over to the service counter immediately. For 2 reasons. Number 1, they had a crane machine. And I was itching to get me one of them fake gold watches. And number 2, when you're a lost child in a store like that, you immediately become the nearest minimum wage retail worker's responsibility. And they have to try their absolute mediumest to reunite you with your family. And this is usually achieved by getting on the intercom system and saying something like, "Attention shoppers, would Rachel please come to the service counter? We have your son." Which is basically just informing all of the Walmart shoppers that you're a shitty parent. Although, to be fair, the way I said it there sounded a little bit more like a ransom note. "Attention Rachel, we have your son. $150 in food stamps, or we make him eat urinal cakes." Now that is obviously a joke because Walmart does not have urinal cakes. But whenever I would do this, my mom would always come and collect me at some point, and it would be with a firm grasp of the arm or hand, and some scolding on the way out of the store to ensure that I didn't do it again. But honestly, this was a victory for me because she was embarrassed and I found it funny. Still do. But I remember one time. It was different. She adopted a different strategy. She had changed something. She came over and collected me like usual, except she didn't grab my arm or hand. She didn't scold me. She didn't even talk to me. She went through the checkout, normal as can be, making courteous conversation with the clerk, getting all of us into the car, no big deal. And I thought to myself, maybe I've won. Perhaps I've beaten her. What a fool I was. I would soon find out that she was plotting in that moment. She couldn't let on, otherwise that would spoil it. Because she soon thereafter divorced my dad and forced me to grow up without a father. That's operant conditioning. E.F. Skinner, if you haven't taken a look. Children of divorce often go through this phase where they think the entire thing is their own fault, which is fair and in most cases absolutely true. But in our case, or my case at the very least, I knew for a fact that this was all the fault of my evil soon-to-be stepmother, Megan. Megan was such a cold, personality-lacking individual that she couldn't even conform to the right pronunciation of the name Megan. Nik without a C. Hi. And it wasn't even that she was mean to us or like mistreated us or anything. It was just that she didn't care. I remember she had this cat, and its name was Athena. It was named after the Greek goddess of wisdom and inspiration, two things Megan profoundly lacked. She loved that cat. She loved it way more than she ever loved us or ever even cared about us. When it came time for dinner, we would get undercooked Kraft macaroni and cheese. Well, Athena got her choice of gravy lovers or savory salmon fancy feast. What kind of bullshit is that? I know. Athena is the reason I am a dog person. Let me tell you what. But it's hard. On a serious note, it is hard. Growing up without a father, without that influence in your life, especially in a town like St. Cloud, where there is somewhat of a heightened male bravado in certain circles. Some toxic masculinity still hanging around. Is that a napkin? I have a towel.
Take a look at it.
Right now?
Yeah.
It's hard growing up without a father figure. We'll get back to that. You just miss out on a lot of those quintessential male activities, Like I never got into cars or hunting or sexually assaulting people, just guy stuff, So hunting's kind of messed up, right? Especially now that we no longer need it for sustenance, That's what like factory farms are for. And I know what you're gonna say, oh, well, what about for sport? Fuck you. It's hardly a sport when the other team doesn't even know the rules. They'll be like if I said, excuse me, beautiful man in the front row, what is your name?
Jason.
Jason, do you know how to play cricket? Okay. That'd be like if I took Jason here and I didn't explain any of the rules of cricket to him, and I brought him to a cricket pitch. That's where they play cricket. That one's a freebie. That'd be like if I took Jason to a cricket pitch and then shot him in the face. But I harbored a lot of anger towards my dad, my situation really, for a really, really long time, and it manifested in a lot of different ways, but the most noticeable, I think, is that I always tried my hardest not to end up like him. I'll give you an example. When he was just a little older than I am now, he had already had 5 kids with 2 different women. Meanwhile, I have 0 kids and I'm with 0 women. So I guess I'm winning. But there are certain other things that I can't really help, I'll go back and look at pictures, watch like Christmas videos, things like that. And some of the similarities are scary. Like our hairlines are receding at the exact same rate. When we speak, we do so in virtually the same exact cadence with everything we say. And then perhaps the spookiest one of all, neither of us have ever paid child support. Live and you learn, I guess. But I will say that I heard stories about my dad growing up, and it seems like he was a fairly good kid, which I also was, you know? I didn't fuck up a lot as like a youth. I didn't drink until I got to college. I didn't do drugs until I got to college. I didn't drop out of college until I got to college. And I was never like sneaking out to parties or anything like that. I almost never snuck out. Almost. It's the summer of 2009. Sophomore year is over, and it's time to relax. What better way than by attending the midnight premiere for the sure-to-be blockbuster hit, Transformers 2, Revenge of the Fallen. Now I was getting older, and I had a job. So I had pretty much free reign of the town, although I was still 15, so I didn't have a driver's license. And this meant that I had to take the bus around, which was fine, totally cool. But one day, I had my siblings on the bus. We were going from one place to another, as buses often do. And I was like, I want to stop by the movie theater and pick up a ticket, because they might sell out for Transformers 2, Revenge of the Fallen. 19% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's certified rotten right now. So I said to my sister, can you get Cameron home? I'll grab the ticket, everything will be fine. Not a great plan. I came home, ticket in hand, and my mother was furious. Although in my defense, I was absolutely right. They made it home just fine. But, as it often is with parents, it was the principle of the thing. She had trusted me to care for my brother and sister, and I effectively abandoned them to ensure that I had tickets to Empire Magazine's 25th worst movie made ever! So after a bit of squabbling, she ended up taking my ticket away and grounding me. It's more B.F. Skinner. It's operant conditioning, negative punishment. You punish bad behavior by taking something away. In this case, it was the ticket and my life. And after a lot of pleading, I eventually stormed out and was like, I'm just gonna go see it anyway. Having no plan whatsoever to do so. Until my friend Tiger came along. Lean, handsome, level-headed, quick as a whip, that boy. He had a plan, and it was a good one. He was gonna tell my mom that our friend Dan, needed a ticket because they had sold out to a film that Roger Ebert called a horrible and painstakingly long adventure. But it worked. My mom had no reason to disbelieve Tiger at this point, and she even said, "That's okay, Tiger. You keep your money." My money. The plan was going perfectly. It was the night of the premiere. I was still not on speaking terms with my mother. and I went to bed without a dirty look or a snide comment in her direction even. But I wasn't really going to bed. I got out of my bed, and as swift as a shadow, I exited my room, opened the door without so much as a squeak, got out of my house, expertly navigated my backyard to avoid all of the neighbors' motion sensor lights, and I met Tiger at a Walgreens like 5 blocks away, so that nobody would see him circling our neighborhood. It was a good plan. And when I arrived there and saw Tiger and my chariot, God, looking back on it, no one in history has ever or will ever be as happy to see a blue 1997 Ford Taurus. But I was. And so we ended up getting to the theater. We got in, all of our friends were there, we were just messing around beforehand. And then all of a sudden, a friend of mine comes back from the concessions and says, "Nick, your mom's in the theater, she's talking to the manager. They're looking for you." And we panicked. Tiger and I went into the men's bathroom, certain that the little featureless man on the door would stop my mom from even looking there. He's the level-headed one. His plan was just to stay there. She would go away eventually, right? No. Absolutely not. I didn't want to ruin my friend Tiger's chance of seeing the worst movie of 2009 as polled by MoviePhone. So I nobly sacrificed myself by turning myself in to my mother. Yeah. And to this day, I still have not seen Rolling Stone's worst film of the decade. And I have absolutely no desire to. Thank you all very much. I've been Nik Wolinski.
Give it up for Nik Wolinski one more time. That's our time. For Comrade Allen, I'm Andy Keenan. Don't get anyone pregnant. Enjoy Common Roots. Ow!